I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cognomovement system. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello in UK Health Radio Land. I am Liz Larson, and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. And we are the show hosts of that made no sense at all. Let's start again. Ready? Hello in UK Health Radio Land. I am Liz Larson, and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
And we are the hosts of the New Life Perspectives radio show here on the UK Health Radio Network. And we just happen to be the creators of the Cognomovement system. So what I love about this show is that lots of times you guys get an inside look at things that Bill and I are talking about all week long. And we're talking all the time about things. And this week, we've been talking about really being in your purpose, not on purpose, because that feels a little more like intention, but living in it. And what it takes to actually live in your purpose. And also why people don't live in their purpose, the thing that keeps them out, that thing that keeps them stuck. So we've been talking about that it takes some things, some energy. Energy is the number one thing. And within that energy, you need to be in a good mood, right? If you're not in a good mood, you're not doing nothing. You're laying in your bed. You have to have focus. You've got to be able to focus on that thing that you want to do. You've got to have creativity. You have to be able to think outside the box to figure out how to do, what's the next idea. You have to be in a state of decent relationships, because if you're fighting with your spouse, you're not focused on being in purpose. Bill was saying just a few minutes ago that, if you're in an argument with somebody, it drains every last bit of your energy and you can't do anything, right? And then there is also your environment. People will say, I got to be, in Florida or France or Tibet to live in my purpose. So we're talking about that. And it's really a big subject, because I don't know about you, Bill, but in my work, I hear that people just say, I don't know what my purpose is. I feel like I can't get there. Do you meet a lot of people like that?
There's a lot. Yeah. The overwhelming majority of people don't know what their purpose is. What is my purpose? So there's a difference in between your purpose and your passion. So your passion is whatever you have in your life that really puts you in a state where time passes and you don't even realize it. If you're a woodworker, you go into your woodshed and you do your work and it's like, and then mama comes out and says, well, hey, it's dinner. And it's like, but dinner? I didn't even, wow, whole day passed. You didn't even know you were hungry. That's that passion. So the purpose kind of goes back to something really interesting. And that is our purpose here as humanity is that we are learning how to change our minds to a state of love, gratitude, forgiveness, these sorts of things, appreciation. So the things that are keeping us from those elevated states of awareness are the things that keep us away from our purpose. It also keeps us away from our energy. I know we were talking off camera about this, and I was, use myself always as an example. If I get into like a argument or something, right? If I'm in an argument, right, probably I'm not in a state of love and appreciation. I'm right, you're wrong, I deserve this and not that, or whatever be the case. But ultimately, what happens is that we become tired. It's the very first thing that shows up.
Drains your energy.
Drains your energy, and you like, man, have to go to bed early, or you're just really ready to just try to relax and unplug, right? For some people it's a drink and a good dinner and then go to bed or whatever. Try to distract yourself from that thing. It's the boss, it's the wife, it's the girlfriend, the boyfriend, whatever be the case.
Hey, I want to back up a little bit, Bill. And I'm actually going to challenge something that you said. You, Bill, so he's so, this is so foreign to him that I would challenge something that he said. No, actually, it's this. I think people really do know what their purpose is. I really think they do. But it's one of those things that's buried so deep that you just, many people have no idea how they could possibly get there. So here's what I think, that the core of it is, it's a being of service of one way or another. So many of us, if you're listening to this show, you're likely one of those people who is of service daily anyway. You give advice. Maybe you're a practitioner of something and you actually help people get better. Maybe you're a doctor. So that's a being of service. Or maybe you are a person who knows that your purpose in serving humanity is to create a different kind of architecture that will revolutionize buildings. Or your purpose is to be the guy who goes to the moon and discovers moon rocks, change the world, right? It's really of being of service to humanity in one way or another. Or maybe your purpose is, that you can create something that'll change the way people live in houses. So it's of being of service in one way or another. It all boils down. The issue is that most of the time, it's one of those things that we're so stuck in it because we don't know how we would possibly get there. And we also don't imagine that we are so big that we would change the world in that way. I told a story yesterday. I called it Death by Tony Robbins. Years ago, so long ago, that I was listening to audio cassette tapes with a Walkman. And I was listening.
People don't know what the heck
Walkman.
Even a lot of these people are like, "What is a cassette tape?"
It was a cassette tape.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Walkman. They don't know. So,
do you realize that there's people now who don't even remember what an iPod was?
Yeah.
Like that was the next thing. So
it's a little electronic device to listen to things.
Yeah, you could listen to things back in the dinosaur days. So that's how long ago it was. And the truth is, I always knew what my purpose was. I always did. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't. We'll get to that. Like, what's the thing that stops you? But I was listening to Tony Robbins and I just thought I was going to die. Like, I literally could have gone out in the road and just laid in the middle of it. I lived on a really busy road. Every word he said just took me deeper and deeper into this physical pain in my body. Now, it's nothing against Tony Robbins. Of course, his words were meant to be uplifting and encouraging and instructional, but every word was like a punch in the face because I knew I couldn't do it. I knew what he said was right, but I couldn't do it. Why couldn't I do it? I don't know. I know now. I know. And that is what I said when I was speaking yesterday. I don't know you out there, but I know what's stopping you right now. And it's the same thing that stopped me. It's this physical sensation in the body. That for me, it's in the back of the throat and in the solar plexus. This sense of I just can't move forward. Now we know that that's the nervous system. Went back to a time when someone told me I was ridiculous about something I said. I was 4, 5. And now my nervous system had made that true and more and more and more true, until the point where Tony Robbins literally made me feel like I just wanted to die. So, that's what it is. It's that feeling in the body, that stuck sensation of the nervous system putting on the brakes and saying, no, who do you think you are? So if we can change that, we can get people to their purpose very, very easily. And we do. But that's that core of it. I do think you know what it is. I think it's getting there, the how, that's the big problem.
I think you're right. And just to go one step further is, for me, by the way, it's up in my shoulders. I feel almost like a weight on my shoulders and my upper back,
Yeah.
of that. That's the physical location, right, of my feelings, right? But one of the things that I think is really kind of important to understand, is because so many people listening to this have done a lot of work and studying, is kind of a new realization, is that your subconscious, right? And we know that the subconscious is responsible for 95% of what goes on in a person's life. It's the subconscious programs. Well, the subconscious utilizes the physical body to express itself as a feeling. Where does my feeling come from in the first place? I didn't choose to be angry. I didn't choose to feel overwhelmed. I didn't choose to feel however I felt. It just happened. Well, it's the subconscious which has been programmed, right? It gets programmed at a very early age. And then I spend my life with the feeling, whatever feeling that is, just coming up now and again. Whenever I get triggered, it's like, oh, this is how I feel, and this is how it's going to be. Notice that all the people you know so many people, right? You listener, can really determine, what, I know that person. I know how they're going to act. All of them, whether they're like, I know that person is just kind of generally joyful, and that's about what I'm going to encounter. And I know this one over here, they're gonna take things kind of the wrong way.
Yeah,
right?
you recognize them by that
That
pattern.
that pattern. And that's that subconscious, and they're feeling not only in their body and how they express it, but you can even tell by how they hold their body.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about, we kind of refer to that as a core feeling. When I had that sense, that thing that happened with Tony Robbins, my death by Tony Robbins, there was that feeling in my body that I now know is kind of my core go-to feeling when my nervous system wants to put on the brakes. I was saying the other day that it's like you're some kid in the school who pulls the fire alarm all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like the nervous system pulling the fire alarm. The body will have this instant sensation, and then my mind makes up what to think about that sensation in the moment. And I realized for me, it was moment after moment after moment. Oh, you want to change your haircut? Feeling, right? Fire alarm, slam on the brakes, into the airbag, punch in the face. Or as something as big as, I want to change my career. Feeling, there it is, punch in the face, slam on the brakes, turn on the fire alarms. Well, what is the effect of that? The real net effect of that, that's a Bill McKenna statement. The net effect is, he's rubbing off on me, you guys, that it drains your energy. That has such a massive cost. And remember, we were just saying, like, to be in your purpose, living in your purpose, you got to have energy. You got to have the right mood. You got to have focus. You got to have creativity. You got to be in the right relationship state. You may have to be in the right environment, but cut those all back, follow them back. You got to have the horsepower. I always say it's like having a Maserati, and I don't know how many horsepower Maserati has. Let's say it's 250. It's probably more than that. And 200 of it of that horsepower is routed to the door locks. That's what it's like having that core feeling. It just costs power, horsepower. And you can't get there. I couldn't move even one step out my door. I couldn't even do, you know, how you take those classes and you have to write your things out? You know, you take the pen and you put it, I couldn't even do that because in that moment, my energy was so drained by that core feeling. And, you know, we know now the more and more and more that you rewrite that code, that pattern in the body, the more of that energy you get back. So we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, I know that Bill McKenna has a story up his sleeve about what's possible in the moment that releases. So let's hear from the UK Health Radio Network, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we were talking about what happens. What is possible, Bill? This is so fascinating. What is possible in that moment when that core feeling releases? You know, you and I have experienced this not only for ourselves, but with our clients, also in seminar, you know, so what's possible when that happens? What changes?
Well, what changes is that you simply are absent the feeling that you used to have. And what then becomes available to you is what I would call basically an entirely new life, a new way of being, creativity, changes in financial relationships, every single, and even physical, it all changes. Nothing remains unaffected. You know, I'm reminded of a story that happened right here in this room where I'm talking to you. And this is probably one of the top things that I've seen with my physical eyes. And this story is so unbelievable. It belongs in the realm of the kind of biblical miracles type thing that I can't believe I had the privilege of actually being part of and witnessing. But I had, along with Liz, had been working with a client. So we both worked with this client over a period of time. They had a lot of problems, not only emotional, but physical as well, which is really kind of what we talk about. Our body will express for us the emotion that we can't process. What happened is we cleared out through Cognomovement, you know, the process we do, all of the shame and the guilt and the grief and the humiliation and the blame and fear of her lifetime. And then what ended up happening is after days of this, where all the pain left the body and the emotions weren't felt anymore, right here in this room, I walked her through another process that we do with Cognomovement, is a meditation, right? We use movement, your acupuncture points, we use all kinds of things to help people through their issues. This meditation that I walked her through was to what I call the original feeling. What's the original feeling? It is where I take somebody back through time of their life, back through their birth, back through the womb, back through the flash of light that during the point of conception, they now scientifically know that there's a flash of light during the point of conception and beyond, before the conception ever happened. And when we were there, I took her back before she was ever born. In this life, before you were born, I had her to encounter her mother. And notice, in this state, It was before her mom was born and before she was born, and noticed how her mom felt about her and noticed how she felt about her mom. And then there was a sense of love and joy that was beyond words. A bliss had taken over. Her father, who she had many problems and done many horrible things, she's there in this state and she can see how she loved him and he loved her. And her brothers and sisters, the same thing. And she was crying like in bliss and just in such a state of joy that what happened is right here, right in this chair, right here. I'll show you. There's the chair right there where it happened. I was there and I saw her with my eyes begin to dematerialize. Literally, her feet and then her legs became like vapor, like light. They call this the rainbow light body. And this is the same state that Jesus, when he ascended, actually happened, right? This is in Tibet, that there's this known thing where it's not just happened to Jesus, it happened to many people in Tibet and the monks, but they literally become this light body. And it was happening in front of me. I am seeing it with my eyes. And during the process where I'm taking her through and having her to experience the love that she had for everybody, including herself, here, before she was ever born, all of a sudden, it was like the room was filled with the chants of 1,000 monks. I'm there and I'm witnessing her turning into light, and all of a sudden I can hear it just as like I'm talking to you. It was like, and they're all there, and I'm like, I can hear it. It's just like that, and up her body, up the legs, up the torso, and it moved up and her arms dematerialized, and her head was beginning to, but her shoulders and her head remained, but the rest of her was like light. And it was such an incredible event to have witnessed. And anyway, what I'm going to do at the end of the show here is I'll walk you through this meditation so that you can have it here, and but we'll get to that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what happened before that, because that is a miraculous story, and very few people get the chance to really experience it. And the setup for this person was unique. We'd been working with her as a team for days. Very, very few people have that opportunity on the planet, but it happened. Yeah. So before that, there were many, many things that got her to the place where that meditation took her there. And it was really getting rid of those patterns in her nervous system that were holding her in that stuck pattern. For her, there were many physical things. And one of the things that happened that might be equally as miraculous, but less interesting, is that she actually was taller. If I recall, almost 1.25 inches taller during the session, because the nervous system patterns were released and released and released, and it literally releases the body. Cogno movement practitioners, not just Bill and I, have had some amazing experiences in session because we really get to see the effect of the nervous system changing in real time. And it actually affects the field around us. We can see it and we can feel it for sure, mostly in the way that the person responds. But we have that interaction, and oftentimes it looks very much like a miracle because there's so much power so much energy tied up in those old, what did you call them, programs, patterns, loops of energy, keeping us stuck, putting on the brakes. And, maybe you're asking why. And the why is really simple. It's the body trying to do its job, keep us safe. This is a fun thing that Bill and I were talking about. One thing that holds people back is they don't know who they would be without that governor on, without those brakes on. It's a little terrifying to get to the edge of that moment and think, oh my God, I'm actually going to be who I was always meant to be. It can be a little scary. We don't think in terms of that because this huge pattern keeps us stuck for so long. It becomes who we are, becomes how we function. Like you said, you can recognize a person by that pattern, at a distance. When we release it for ourselves, the expansion can be as big as, your rainbow light body activating, or as big as everything in your life changing almost instantly. And people have had that experience too. Money starts to flow in, relationship changes, body's different. Your mindset is so different that you feel like a different person. In fact, one of the biggest things that people say when they leave my office, and I'm not sure if this is true for you, is, well, one is this real life? And the other is, I feel like a different person. And you actually are. And that can be the frightening part, right, Bill?
Yeah, it is, right? Imagine that, like, who am I? Without this feeling of whatever it is, that you've basically spent your life in, right? Whether it's a feeling of, I need to control my environment. Things are going to go out of control if I'm not the one who is the king of my household and telling everybody who it's going to be and how it's going to be and what it's going to be. Or if I'm no longer the victim, right, of the world, right? And I got my story of, I was beaten as a child and this happened to me, and I'm doing whatever, now because I'm trying to make sure nobody's going to do that again to me, or whatever be the case. You name it. What would I be? What would I be? It's kind of it's kind of like free falling, right? When you're skydiving, you jump out of the plane, those first few minutes are like, oh.
Well, and as you get closer, so this person, was like drinking through a fire hose. She went through this over a many day period. Most of us don't do that. Most of us peel those layers away a little at a time. And as you get closer to having that core neurological pattern, because we release huge ones all the time, but there's a core one. As we get closer to releasing that, you start to be able to see who you would be without it. Still a little nerve-wracking, and nerve-wracking is the right word. The nervous system is like, wait a minute. What do you mean I'm not going to pull the alarm bell? What do you mean I'm not going to slam on the brakes? You mean I don't do that anymore? And the answer is, yeah, you don't do that anymore. So the nervous system goes through some stages of being ready and willing to let that go. But the person also has to be at a point where they can see. Now logical mind comes into play. As I let this go, as it's gone from my body, I don't play the same role in my life anymore. I'm not the victim anymore. If you're the youngest child and you've been the victim your whole life, you don't get to play that role anymore. And the people around you aren't going to play the role anymore. Now, who are you? If you're the person who's been in severe pain and physically injured and the whole family looked after and cared for you and you were special, you're not going to be that anymore. So it really comes to this logical mind dilemma at the very end, just at the end of, who will I really be? And then am I ready to be that free? It's a huge question, Bill. Are you ready to be that free? Interesting, right?
That's very interesting, right? And change is okay. change, if you look at it just as change, right? Change has been going on all of our lives. And this is just one more change, but really a change for the positive. Imagine just simply, the wonderful thing about this is that we're not talking about like, I'm so strong, I've got to do this, la, la, la. We're talking about, we utilize with the technique with Cognomovement, it simply makes it go away. That old pattern, that old feeling simply goes away, and I'm no longer reacting. And with that, these other new patterns emerge that you can choose.
Well, they're just loaded with the energy that you need. So the energy that you need to have the good mood, the energy that you need to stay focused, the energy that you need to think creatively, the energy that you need to maintain and support healthy relationships. You get that back. I think that's the most exciting thing about the work we do. When we realized early on, and we could measure it, through the BioWell, oh my gosh, people are actually getting their horsepower back.
Yeah.
They're getting their energy back, and then they're getting out of bed earlier and getting things done and creating and doing. So you get that power. And I think, Bill, and this is just one of my weird opinions, but I think now is the time on the planet that these things are really available to the masses. It used to be that only a Tibetan monk could be, rainbow body of light, or get the kind of energy back to have enough focus to change his body temperature, right? They got that kind of energy. They got to experience it, but they had to live on the top of a mountain somewhere and not experience life. Now it's available to us to actually become who we were really meant to be in this lifetime now, because we can speed through. We've speeded up that process. It's not about learning in the mind anymore, changing the mind. It's about just making an adjustment in the patterns in the body that release that, stop the alarm bells.
No longer feel that way.
You don't feel that when you have the energy. We got to take a break, don't we?
We sure do. Thank you, UK Health Radio. We'll be right back after this message.
So we were talking about, that it's possible. I think it's possible on the planet for everybody who chooses to have this experience of getting their energy back, of living in purpose, living in a way that you're doing what you were meant to do, whether it's pushing the boundary of speed in racing, that's something that people do, right?
Right.
When a race car driver pushes the boundary of how fast you can go, that just expanded the universe. What was not possible is now possible. So every person who is literally living out loud, doing the thing that they know for sure they were came to do, expands the universe. And that's pretty exciting to me.
Yes, sure is.
But you were going to share with everybody a process that actually almost takes us backwards into the core of the universe, into the core of a person's experience. So they then have that ability to expand from that moment forward. What would you say, Bill? Is it a clearer way with a different understanding? What would you say that expansion back forward is?
This exercise will expand your timeline. What do I mean by that? Right now, you think of things in terms of this lifetime. My linear timeline, and when I was 5 years old, this happened. When I was 15, this happened. When I was, 20, I got married and la, 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 whatever, right? That's your story. What we're going to do in this exercise is expand your story and expand the parameters of your feelings about everybody in your life. Imagine that. Maybe there's more going on than we realize. So if it's okay with you, Liz, we'll start the exercise.
Take her away.
All right. First and foremost, this exercise, you're not to be done driving or anything else other than sitting down, closing your eyes, and here we go. Whatever age you are currently at, just relax, be in your current body and your current age, and just breathe. Go back in time to a good time in your 20s. Just remember a really great time in your 20s. Breathe and enjoy that. Go back to a good time in your teenage years and breathe. Go back to a good time around 5 years old. Breathe. Go back now. Imagine you're there and you have just been born. Breathe. Go back now into the womb. Feel the comfort of being in the womb. Breathe. Go back again, back into the flash of light. This flash of light is the point of conception. That moment of conception, there is a flash of light. Be in the flash of light. And now, leave this lifetime behind and go back again. You're now back before this lifetime, before you were ever born. In this dimension, your parent hasn't been born either, because there is no time. All time is one. Here, in this dimension, having completely let go of this lifetime, you're now here, and now allow your mother to come forward. As your mother comes forward here, before you were born, before she was ever born, here, notice how she feels about you. Notice that. Notice how you felt about her before you were ever born. Just allow the feeling. And whatever thoughts of this lifetime, leave them back. You're here before you were ever born. Allow the encounter with your mother, noticing how you both felt about each other. And now, notice your father coming forward, and notice how your father felt about you. before he was born, before you were born. And notice how you felt about your father. Absent everything from this lifetime, staying here before both of you were ever born. Notice your siblings. Allow all of your siblings to come forward. Notice how you felt about your siblings. And notice how they felt about you before you were ever born and they were ever born. Now, anyone that you had a hard time with, anybody who's been difficult in this lifetime, allow them to come forward. Allow them to come forward. Here, before you were born, before they were born. Notice that, how you felt. Having left everything behind, noticing if you have a feeling of love for them and they have a feeling of love for you. Go through all of them. If you're not having a feeling of love, simply let go. Let go of this lifetime so that you can encounter the truth. And now, remember these feelings. Take these feelings with you now about all of them, the mom, dad, brothers, sisters, siblings, people that have been hard on you, all of them, taking this feeling with you, this knowledge, taking it now into the light, the point of conception, remembering as you move now into the womb, remember how you felt about all of them. Taking yourself now forward into birth, remembering this is how I really felt. I really did love everybody and they loved me so much. Moving forward to a good time around 5 years old. Again, remember how you felt about mom, dad, brothers, sisters, people that were difficult. Take yourself again forward in time, forward to a good time in your teenage years. And again, remembering. Take yourself to a time in your 20s that was a good time. And remember how you really felt about everybody. Take yourself now to your current day, pulling those feelings with you, the new understanding, the new time frame. As you go through your daily life, remember, I know how I felt about you. Yes, it was much of a relationship that was based in love. And we made up this game here while we were on this planet. But I know how I really feel about you. Take a breath, enjoy that, take it throughout your day. And Liz, back to you.
All right. I don't think anybody's going to want to come back after that. All right. Well, this is a fun conversation, Bill. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And, if you're looking for your purpose, think about what it is you're driven to do to be of service. You know what it is, feel into it. And then also just notice, what is it that puts on the brakes for you? What's the feeling in your body? And that's something you can work with. So you want to know more about that, visit us at cognomovement.com. You can download a free book at cognomovement.com called Suffering is Optional. Kind of explains a little more about what we're talking about. All right, everybody, we will see you on the flip side. See you next week. Thanks, Bill McKenna.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.